Congratulations, you graduated. Now what? In this episode, I talked to recent STEM grads who are figuring it out. One interview, rejected job application, and what am I doing with my life moment at a time? From conquering imposter syndrome to celebrating small wins, they're keeping it real, fun, and surprisingly honest. Spoiler alert, adulting is a team sport and you're not alone. Welcome to Keys to the Future. I'm your host, Gabby Coe. I've enjoyed a successful engineering career, and I'm passionate about empowering the next generation of STEM leaders. Together, we'll dive into the journeys of trailblazers who are changing the world and uncover the insights that will help you unlock the future you're meant to create. Let's get started. Today, we have two amazing guests. Vinny Thota grew up in Northern Virginia and graduated from Centerville High School in 2017, where he was active in clubs and played varsity basketball and baseball. He went on to earn his degree in systems engineering from the University of Virginia, volunteering in the community and serving as a student manager for a women's basketball team. After graduation, Vinny moved to Chicago to start his IT career as a Workday functional consultant, while supporting his family's charity, Asha Yoti. Now he's back in Virginia and coaches boys basketball at his alma mater and loves working out, traveling, and time with loved ones. Roshni Puli grew up in Virginia in a lively multi-generational household and went on to earn her degree in commerce and interdisciplinary studies from the University of Virginia, with a focus on sustainability, environmental science, and computer science. During her time at UVA, she studied abroad in Singapore, au paired in Turkey, interned in New York, and led student groups like Protect Our Breasts and Net Impact. Today, she's a research analyst at Terra Alpha Investments in Washington, D.C., where she analyzes sectors like industrials, healthcare, and consumer discretionary. Outside of work, she supports the nonprofit Asha Yothi and loves running, reading, and enjoying Bollywood films. Roshni and Vinny, welcome and thank you so much for sharing your journey with the Keys to the Future community.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having us, enjoying this opportunity to talk and provide guidance for the next generation.
I am so eager to get into our conversation. It's been a while since I was sitting in your seat and trying to figure things out. So I'm curious to see how things have changed or maybe they have remained the same. What was your biggest, I have no idea what I'm doing moment after graduation?
I'll take this one first, and then I'll give it to Roshni because Roshni does her research and does very well in all types of subjects that she does. But for me, it was quite difficult just because I grew up in Virginia all my life and I was pretty much close to home all my life. And then just kind of moving to Chicago and starting a job that I had no background research of, no knowledge of, no kind of affiliation to, and just kind of learning that kind of from the jump and kind of diving into the deep end per se. So that was quite difficult, just kind of understanding what I need to do, especially living on my own in Chicago and trying to meet new people, meet new friends, trying to create that sense of community for myself within Chicago. So there was kind of a huge oh my god, what am I doing moment, especially after I graduated for the first, I would say, first 6 months. But luckily, just with the support system I had back at home and the people I met at my company, and just kind of putting myself out there, whether that's working out at the gym or going on like the 5K runs that they have around Chicago, just kind of meeting new people, I was able to kind of grasp some sort of confidence and then kind of use that to kind of propel myself in my job. So the first 6, 7 months were definitely hard. It was definitely trying, filled with ups and downs, mostly downs, but I'm proud of the way I kind of carried myself. I would stay grounded to my morals, my ethics, and just kind of taking the punches and kind of rolling with them. But the first 6, 7 months were definitely hard. I wouldn't sugarcoat it, but it definitely made me stronger and it made me more ready for my job. So I wouldn't say I would want to go through it again, but it was definitely required for my success.
I think a lot of my answer will be similar to Vinny. And just for context, me and Vinny are cousins and we're also neighbors. And we grew up in between the same two houses. Our grandma raised both of us. So, like, very similar structure and support system from our family. And I go to his mom for advice and his parents, and he does the same with mine. So, we're really fortunate that biggest I have no idea what I'm doing moments happened even after graduation, that there was no moments in high school or when we were growing up where we really felt lost. But that being said, when we left the home, definitely a huge wave of like, oh, I'm just one person in the world and it's just up to me. I think my biggest I have no idea moment was kind of like 2 3 months into my job when I realized everybody was taking me seriously. And I feel like I don't take myself seriously. And to be frank, what I was a 23-year-old that didn't have any job experience, kind of thrown into the world of finance, and we're taking care of other people's money. These are adults with families and livelihoods, and it matters. So to feel like my work was something that mattered beyond the grade, like the difference between a B plus and an A is something that's significant when you're at your work, because performance driven in an academic culture is very different than performance driven in a work culture. Those small nuances can really matter and make a difference in terms of if you deliver something. So I think that was my freak out moment where I was like, I'm the last, the buck stops with me. Why are you guys trusting me? So I'm fortunate to have a good support system even at work, and I was able to kind of tackle that with them. But yeah, I think just having a job and getting paid to do what you do is kind of a crazy thing.
That is awesome. I mean, you both, and I am so glad that, you mentioned that you're family, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that really makes a difference.
absolutely.
But I mean, I think your family can be friends as well, right? People that you meet along the way, people that may be going through the same challenges that you are or same path that you're down. And so that I think you can find comfort in that as well. And I love the way Vinny said, you took a risk right from the beginning. You were in the comfort of home and family most of your life, and then you just decided to go to the Midwest.
Yeah. And to like Roshni's point, she said, like the difference between like a B plus and an A is quite dramatic when you kind of graduate college and kind of go into the real life. For me specifically, I'll speak to myself. Like I was not a great grade student in college. Like my grades did not showcase like my abilities, and like I'm very thankful just kind of the opportunity I got from my job and like the people that support me and advocate for myself is that it's not about the grades that you get. It's kind of like the intangibles that you bring. Are you disciplined, determination, the perseverance? Because you're gonna have like downfalls throughout your life. Like in my short 4 years after college, there's been downfalls, but there's also been great high moments. But in college, it just kind of shows you the story of like you might start rough here and there because you're kind of moving out of your house, kind of depending on to live on your own, take care of yourself, look after yourself. And there's gonna be moments where your grades are not reflective on the type of student you are, the type of person you are. So I would say just to kind of to echo to Rosh's point, like to students all over, like your grades are just is just a letter at the end of the day. It doesn't define you. There are gonna be times where you feel like you know everything, but your tests don't show it. But sometimes you're gonna not feel like you know everything, and your test might show it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of the work that you put in and kind of the work that you believe you're putting in and the pride you take in it. And if you can kind of look yourself in the mirror and say, I did my best today, that's all that matters. Because if your best is a C plus and somebody else's best is an A, that's totally fine because you're giving it your best and you're giving it your absolute 100%. And that's something that I kind of learned from my high school teacher, from my like AP US teacher. He's like, whatever your best is, just give it your best. It could be a B, it could be an A, but just give it your 100% because you don't want to sell yourself short at any moment.
Absolutely. And I love it that you said discipline, determination, and also overall outlook. Because when you come into the workforce, you're working with not only young people like yourselves, but people that have been there for a while and so on. So different perspectives and everything. But if I think you have the mindset of just jumping in and learning as much as you can and bringing yourself and your mindset as a positive outlook, I think everybody wants to work with that kind of person. Nobody wants to work with Debbie Downer, right? So
Exactly. You got to control the controllables, like your attitude, your energy, the type of effort that you bring, because the results will live and die by the effort, the energy, the kind of communication that you put in. So that's what I teach to my basketball team. Like as long as you can control your energy, your effort, your communication, we might win, we might not win, but at the end of the day, if we can do those things, we give us a great shot of potentially beating the other team every single day. So that's kind of what we preach for our basketball team throughout our basketball program, energy, effort, communication, but we could also take that to any aspect of life, not just basketball.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm a little bit curious now. When I attended college, we have career resources. They were still evolving, but I'm not going to tell you when I graduated. But they were still helpful. I'm curious, how did you use career resources while you were still in college to help you navigate the next steps? For example, landing that first job.
We both went to UVA, and we're lucky that UVA had a really good career center. And within the business school, then there was another kind of cohort of alumni and faculty that kind of helped us navigate post grad. But I still think it's the same few resources that matter in any college. The alumni network, there's a really unique opportunity when you're young, and young meaning like any time before you hit like the 5-10 year mark of your career, where when you reach out to people and you ask for help, they're so willing to help you because they remember the novelty of being in that phase of your career, and you're really not asking for much. In the first early days of your career, you're asking for a shot and an opportunity and a early stage like analyst role. You're not asking them to make you director. So I think any time between 20 and 30 and whatever arbitrary number you think makes you feel young, you should definitely ask for help and ask for guidance. So I think alumni, whether that be like friends of friends, and then I think a lot of that I got personally from LinkedIn. During college, I took a lot of support on crafting a LinkedIn and figuring out how to use it. Like, how do you filter by your school? How do you filter by jobs? And I hope that most schools have developed some sort of curriculum to help students navigate that. But I think LinkedIn community, and then also like you guys heard Vinny talk. There's friends and family that have gone through what you're going through. So during college, to be kind of proactive and talk to them about their experience, so you don't feel your what the heck moment too early on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then, like, in addition to Roche's point, like using like the career center, the resources that your specific school provides. Like Roshni went to the commerce school, and I went to engineering school. As much as they might be within the same college, there's different ways that they kind of do things. So working with the advisors, the e guides, and kind of talking to people that you are in the same organization with or same like engineering fraternity, reaching out to people that are in the same discipline and something that you want to potentially do in a couple years, and asking for them for their feedback, their advice, and kind of using them as a resource and leveraging them as much as possible, because like it's totally okay to ask for help. Like I have trouble now, like I kind of find myself now like not asking for help as much, but you should always ask for help because it's not a bad look. It shows that you care, and it shows that you want to reach out to the right resources and kind of find your footing. As much as you might feel like, oh, okay, I could do this by myself, I'm okay. There's always something that you might not know because we don't know everything. We're not perfect. We're not gonna know every single thing about every single item. So always ask for help, whether that's through your family, like Roshi said, through your mutual friends, your peers, or people that you look up to, you aspire. Like on LinkedIn, just reach out to people that are connected in the field that you want to be connected to. So, for example, I'm very passionate about basketball, but just sports in general. I was lucky enough to work with the women's basketball team. So I was very close with the head coach, the assistant coaches, the director of operations, and kind of the video coordinator. So I would pick their brains and understand how this business works. Like, how do you find your connections? How do you get opportunities? Like, what is the best way kind of moving after college? So, kind of, you need to put yourself out there. You have to form those connections, form those bonds, and kind of water that plant every single day. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna know how much you care unless you show it, and you need to show that every single day. Because sometimes it might not be the day that you get that job, but it's only gonna move you closer to the needle of getting that opportunity or getting that shot of like potentially working your dream job, whether that's in basketball, whether that's in financial analyst, investment banking, consulting, whatever that might be. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of us in college, like growing up, we feel like, oh, we have to do everything by ourselves. It's frowned upon kind of leaning on somebody or using their help, but it's totally okay to use somebody's help because at the end of the day, we're all living together on the same planet in the same race. And if we can kind of use each other to help us and then also give that back through our actions and our words, we're only making the world a better place. And we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be successful, whether that's in school, in work, in life, or in family.
Absolutely. Some of the things that I'm going to highlight here, you mentioned the alumni network, reach out.
Hmm.
Professionals already in your field or adjacent fields love nothing more than to share their experiences so far with the next generation coming up in those ranks. And then you said LinkedIn. I mean, we have platforms now that if you use them appropriately can be very, very helpful. Be proactive. That is such a key word, being proactive. Don't wait until somebody comes offering you something. Be proactive, and you're looking really out for number one, which is yourself. And that may sound selfish, right? When you're saying I'm looking out for number one, which is me, but not really. You're really looking out for your best interest, and you can't really serve others unless you're really, either happy in what you're doing or focused on what you can do your best, be your best at. And the last thing is that I think it's very important is don't be afraid to ask for help. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So now let's talk about job interviews. What was the most, like, say, awkward or unexpected thing that happened during one, and how did you handle it?
I'm pretty open and I like sharing about myself. I'm pretty extroverted in general as well. And I find that a part of my pre-interview research is like looking into people's LinkedIn and figuring out who the people that are going to be asking me questions are. So I feel like awkward, I can cross that off because I don't think that it's an interview, like I don't expect it to be talking to your best friend. So things that are awkward, that's totally normal. I don't even think if I categorize them as awkward in my head. I feel like maybe something that could be unexpected for somebody that hasn't gone through many interviews is that people actually double click on your interests. Like on my resume, there's a little bar that says after skills interests, and I have like backpacking or hiking or movies or charity work or things like my favorite food or stuff like that. And I think that could be unexpected that somebody wants to connect with you over that and kind of establish a common ground before they dig into like your professional experience. So I think people should be ready to handle that. They should also be ready to amplify their own personality in the interview. And I've always kind of run with that. Somebody else gave me that advice. Maybe just personality wise things that are unexpected.
Yeah, that's excellent advice though, because I think if you prepare, don't go into an interview just cold.
Yeah,
Make sure that you do your homework and prepare, and
yeah.
that way you feel more confident as to how you can handle a situation if it may come up.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
last thing to prevent awkwardness is always have questions. And it can be general things. Again, like when you're at a certain age, the difference between desperate and endearing, you'll probably always appear endearing and not desperate, even if in your head you're like, I can't ask for help. Like, it would be a dumb question. Like, it's not going to come off that way. And nobody expects you to know anything, as Vinny said. So, like, to even ask the basic question of, like, hey, do you like your job? Or, how did you get this job? Or do you plan on staying here? Like, simple things can really, really make sure the interviewer knows like you care about that job, that function, that company, and you're curious.
Absolutely, absolutely. Keep it real and
Yeah.
human. I mean, you're talking to another human.
During my that one interview, I remember like one of the questions was technical. So I have like a decent experience with Microsoft Excel before like the interview, and she asked, "How do you use VLOOKUP?" And like I completely kind of botched that answer. I didn't know like what she meant, what it was. But the irony of it is that every single day in my job right now, I VLOOKUP everything. Like basically to kind of validate data, to configure workday stuff, you need to use VLOOKUPs to kind of get the right accurate data. So it's kind of funny that at first I would probably be a novice in VLOOKUP, but now like I use it like it's second nature. Like I need to use VLOOKUP for my own validation and my own confirmation of the data. So it's kind of funny where you start and what you can potentially become, because I think it's just learning. You want to learn, you want to show that great attitude, that great energy, and be proactive, as you mentioned, Gabby. So just kind of showing that ability to learn and not be afraid, because like we're gonna make mistakes, but it's okay to make mistakes. It's try to get back up and learn from those mistakes.
So now that you graduated and you're doing your first job, how did your expectations of post grad life as a STEM major compare to your reality now? Is it different? A
Like
lot different?
I think honestly, like it was definitely different. So when I was in college, I thought it would just be like a real life scenario. Like you'll be kind of 9 to 5, and then you're going home and you're not doing anything, and you're kind of you don't have those groups, you don't have those clubs, like those after school activities like we had in high school and college. But for like us, especially as young people that are going out and like doing jobs that are in great cities, like whether that's Roshni in DC or myself in Chicago, I really enjoyed my post grad life more than I kind of enjoyed college, because now you have a job and you're making your own money and you kind of make your own decisions. So you're responsible for your actions, you're responsible for your own life, but at the end of the day, you're making your money, you're doing well in your job. And the one thing that I loved about post grad life is that there's no grades. There's no like A, B, C, D. Like at the end of the day, are you doing your job to the best of your ability, and is your client happy? If you can measure that, if you can make sure that they're satisfied, they're at most like at the highest level of satisfaction, then you can be happy with the work that you're doing. Because I thoroughly love post grad life more than college, because there's times in college where you have to do those assignments, those long study hours, but you learn how to study, you learn how to work in college, and now you kind of transfer that over into post grad, and now you kind of know how to spend time with people on a Wednesday night at a dinner, but also get back in time to prepare for a meeting at 8 a.m. the next day. So you can't skip steps, especially in college. You learn that the hard way. There's going to be times where you might be out with your friends and you might not do good in class the next day, but you kind of you learn from yourself and learn from those mistakes. And then post grad comes around and you're like, okay, I know my limit, I know what I need to do, I know what I need to do to prepare to be successful tomorrow, but let me also enjoy tonight, let me be in the moment, let me make some new connections, foster some new relationships, because that could also provide benefits down the road. You never know. So kind of taking each day as its own canvas and kind of painting your own picture every single day. Because in Chicago and in DC, you might be pulled in a direction that you might not know you were going to be pulled into, like after work, and you just got to go with the flow, because you never know what's going to be coming out of that. But at the end of the day, if you kind of put yourself out there and kind of go with the flow and understand, like, hey, this is a new experience, but I'm all for it, it's only going to give you more interest and kind of more relatability in your own job, kind of giving that like icebreakers and kind of giving that knowledge too.
So now I'm a little curious. Did you have or experience any imposter syndrome?
I feel like my post grad experience, I mean, compared to Vinny, or at least like we just had different college experiences. I really liked college and I liked the idea of like hitting very measured benchmarks, whether it be grades or next semester or classes, and just having like a lot of structure that I didn't have to take care of and it was just already in place. So going to post grad, I struggled a lot because you kind of look around and you're like, wait, nobody's waiting on me to work out. Nobody's waiting on me to go eat lunch. Nobody's waiting on me to eat dinner. Like if I stay up until 2 a.m. by accident and I still have to go to work, I can't just skip. And I feel like I had a lot of freedom and I really enjoyed it in school and I didn't know what to expect with work and I definitely wasn't ready for it. And also ironically, I feel like I learned 10 times more now that I'm at work than I ever did in school. But maybe that's why I had so much fun at school because I wasn't learning as much as I am now. So that's just my baseline. I really it took me like over a year to even set in place guardrails to make sure that I was feeling good about myself before getting to work. Like the showing up at work part you can do kind of with your eyes closed, but like feeling good, not having
Yes.
energy issues like after lunch or just like feeling like you are so isolated at your desk job and that kind of thing, that was so hard for me because I've just always been like in big classrooms where you talk a lot and you work on group projects. So to show up at work and be like, this is your area where you're going to be spending 9 to 10 hours
Right.
was hard.
So no, I didn't hear any imposter syndrome creep up. Was
No,
it?
I definitely had imposter syndrome. My manager will laugh at that because like every check-in we had, it would be a whole bout of, I don't feel good about this. Like, are you sure that I should even be doing this? And even when they talked about promotions or rising through the ranks, they'd be like, no, 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 I'm not ready. You should not be promoting me. And telling them, advocating against my progress, being like, I don't know if you know who you hired, but I just started a few months ago and that kind of thing. And again, I use LinkedIn and social media as a resource. And I remember getting a video about the origin of imposter syndrome. And it was a commencement speech. I forgot who it was, but a commencement speech by the lady who founded Girls Who Code. And she was talking about how imposter syndrome is not a real thing and how it was first of all popularized when women started riding bikes post the suffrage movement. And when you ride a bike, you make a face because you're putting in effort. And there would be this whole like medical malady type of culture saying like, oh, you know, if you ride a bike, you're gonna get this face, and the face is just you putting in effort. And that's kind of the same thing with imposter syndrome. When you start working hard, you're gonna look like you're working hard, and when you start caring about your work, you're not going to be exactly where you want to be. So it's not a medical issue. It's just, it's like you look like where you're at in life. That's totally okay. So kind of like disqualifying it or discrediting it as a real thing was really helpful. But that being said, like I think at least once every week I feel an immense bout of like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I love the way you framed that.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, what we may put on ourselves.
Yeah. When you work out, you get sweaty. That doesn't mean you're sick.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe part of, some anxieties that we experience because we feel maybe ill prepared.
Yeah.
But that happens to everyone,
That happens.
and not everybody's not 100% prepared to do any given task or any given thing or any given job. I think just being yourself and be confident in what you know and be ready to learn more as you go. I think that's, to me, the key to progress and go on. But I'm going to switch topics up here. When we first graduate, we go from basically having no money to earning a pretty good sum, especially in the STEM fields. So I'm curious, your first paycheck, did you build a spreadsheet budget or buy a new gadget or treat yourself with no regrets?
I pride myself on being super organized, whether that's in my personal life or professional life. So I definitely created some sort of budget. I'm not sure what I did exactly with my first paycheck, but I know like for a fact I probably would have just probably saved at least like 20% of it, but then try to make myself happy with like some of the money that I have left. So like the first time that I got my first paycheck was in Chicago, and I was not myself. Like I was still struggling, so I didn't really know how to like spend money or save money, but just kind of understanding like okay, this is your own money, this is your own paycheck, but also don't forget where you come from. Don't forget who how you're raised and kind of understand that also giving back is a part of your identity too. So anytime I go through a big momentous life moment in my life, whether that's like graduating high school, college, or getting my job or anything big, I like to donate the first like at least 100 or 200, 300 back to charity because I feel like it's my duty and my responsibility to kind of give back to other people that are less fortunate and underprivileged, just to kind of give back to people that need it. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure the world is a better place for everybody. And that's kind of how we're raised, myself and Roshni, through our grandparents, through our parents, and like just our older siblings and cousins. It doesn't matter what you do, always remember that there's other people that depended on you, other people that are looking up to you, and you're not here just by random. Like you come from years of hard work, decades of dedication, commitment, sacrifice, and a lot of other stuff. So you want to make sure that you're giving back to people that need it. And I think like there's the first time I got my paycheck was definitely I donated charity, but then as I kind of grew older in Chicago and kind of got my grips, I would definitely use my money just to travel more. And traveling is like another way of learning and understanding your limits and meeting new people, exploring new places, cultures, traditions. And I think traveling is the best way to use money because you're you're going to be on vacation most of the time, just kind of separating yourself from work and separating yourself from your daily routine, but also you get to meet an entirely new place, whether that's like Australia for me, Budapest, Prague. Like I've been all over the place like in the last couple of years, and I'm only thankful because like I get to do it because my job allows me to. Just kind of giving that freedom to take PTO, to relax, to take time away, and also and making memories for a lifetime because these trips will form great bonds, but it'll also give you a great perspective that could potentially help you in your daily job, whether that's like consulting or investment banking or a basketball or just like being a great brother, sister, cousin. You're gonna get a greater perspective because you're gonna see the world from a different light. And I think I believe money can be used for travel, but it can also be used for a lot of different purposes to give back, to fund your own business entrepreneurship ideas if you want to. But at the end of the day, understand that you got to work to make your money, but also giving back is a huge item in my life as well as Roshi's life.
I feel like I'm a little bit more free spirited, for better or for worse, on the budgeting. And again, I was living at home for the first over a year of my post grad life, so I didn't have huge expenses. And as you kind of alluded to, it was just an influx of money. And I had never made that much in a month or in a week or whatever it was. So that was kind of crazy to feel like, oh wow, I just get this by showing up and continuing to do that. And I think I work in the investment space, so the first thing that I remember doing is investing in the S&P and siphoning off a section of my paycheck that would continue going there because that's all I did at work. So to not give that the platform it deserved kind of felt silly. And then after that, I, because again didn't have a huge rent or like insurance or medical issues that I had to pay for, I feel like I was probably 8 months behind on creating a budget. I really didn't create one until I actually had to, because I was thinking about moving out and I wanted to take big traveling trips, and it felt scary to do that without some sort of spreadsheet. And I definitely took inspiration from Vinny and other cousins, but also it's not like a masterpiece at all. It's pretty basic about how much I can spend a month and about how much I spend on groceries. So I wouldn't say anything revolutionary there, but decide what your priorities are and hopefully your budget reflects that.
Yeah. Well, when you decide your priorities, then you can funnel your budget
Right.
accordingly.
Yeah.
So what is one thing that you would say to a STEM student about to graduate who's maybe freaking out about the job market and or finding their path? What would you say? What would be that one thing that you'd share with them?
Well, one, I would just say like this is a hard job market, and I think that aphorism of this is a job or hard job market will follow you every time you look for a job, because it will always feel like it's a hard job market whenever you try to look. So just know that it's not a you thing. This is just kind of the way that applying for jobs works and just looking for opportunities works. To kind of, so like starting with that, you know, you're exactly where you need to be. The next thing I would kind of say is it's gonna work out. And I don't know if that's super technical, but I wish somebody had told me that, because I remember freaking out every time I had a bad job interview, being like, it's me, I'm the problem, you know, I'm never gonna find a job because I'm uniquely terrible at this or whatever the heck. And I think you're a student, you're not going to know exactly where to put your winnings and where to target your job applications, but it will work out. If that means it takes 2 months longer or you spend a summer doing your less than ideal job, just know that's not reflective of your caliber of application or your expertise. I would say we went to a good school and both of us still struggled to find jobs. It's nothing about you. Sometimes you just have to try a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a great question, Gabby. And I think the best way to pay it forward is just like the advice that I got from my 11th grade macroeconomics teacher. And he said, there's no job below your dignities.
That's true.
What that means basically is at the end of the day, your job is your job, and it kind of helps you provide for your family, yourself, and try to get and gives you the opportunity to be successful. So there's no job below to your dignity, especially if we have to be in STEM, you have to be, but it's okay to be in a different job for your first job. It's okay to be in a completely different area, a completely different environment that is not STEM related, but understand that you can continue to work, continue to read, continue to explore LinkedIn, your connections, and try to find yourself to find the job that you want. Because at the end of the day, we all want a job that is great paying, that gives great benefits, that gives us flexibility, gives us mental peace and mental stability. But that's not always going to be the case. So understand that whatever job you might have right now or not have, there's always going to be an opportunity kind of level up or go up from there. So understand that the job that you have right now, it provides for you, your family, and the things that you want to aspire to do, but also don't sell yourself short. Don't settle for what is now. Try to aim for higher things and aim for more. And at the end of the day, you want to give yourself a shot, give yourself the ability to kind of learn from your job, but also explore more from there.
And also,
Absolutely.
your
Absolutely.
your dream job might take more than two chances.
So before we close our conversation, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. Fill in the blank for me. No one warned me that my post graduation life would include blank.
No one in my post grad life.
I'll go. I think my thing is so much focused on sleep and health. You just got to take care of yourself. Like in school, you're a 20-year-old. You can pretty much, I mean, we still are young, but like now, if you make your life about work, your health will not be happier for you on that.
I would say no one gave me the heads up of the amount of time that you might have. There's going to be moments where you have a lot of time in your hands or no time at all, but it's kind of you got to manage your time and manage your expectations cuz at school, at college, there's a routine, there's a schedule. Like you go to lecture hall, then you go to discussion, then you're going to stop at the lunch hall to meet with your friends and then probably you have practice or something like that. There's no schedule. There's no rigor. There's no nothing like that in post grad. You have to make decisions that are best for you and your family. So understanding that time is of the essence and kind of making the best of every single opportunity, whether that's in your job, at home, or whenever you're traveling. So and understanding that you want to make sure that you are using every second to the best of your advantage.
Vinny and Roshni, thank you so much for sharing your journey with the Keys to the Future community.
Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Stay ahead in your STEM journey. Follow Keys to the Future on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and Facebook for the latest insights, tips, and inspiration to help you thrive in your career.